Just remember to like, subscribe, and hit the bell button for all notifications. And become a funny tuber today. Thank you. This is presented by KJOW 42 Productions.
From Spruce Pine, North Carolina, we bring you a special edition of The Stories They Tell.
When I was single, I used to be afraid no one would ever wed me, and I'd die a sorrow's maid. Now I'm married, and I set me down to weep, 'cause my husband chews tobacco and he snores in his sleep. Lord, I wish I was a single girl again. Lord, I wish I was a single girl again. Hi, honey.
Okay, we're right in the middle of a long chat here with Lula Belle Wiseman, and we're today out in Spruce Pine, North Carolina, and we're visiting with someone who was on the National Barn Dance for, what, 25 years, Lula Belle?
From 1930, from 32 to 58.
And I want to tell you that we're thrilled to death to be here.
Oh, you ain't done.
And we almost didn't find her. I tell you, these are big mountains around North Carolina.
Let's tell the folks what happened.
Okay.
About this morning. I knew that Marshall was coming, but somehow or another I got my dates mixed, and I thought they were coming Monday, which is the 7th. And at about, I don't know what time it was, you called about 10 o'clock this morning, I think, and said that you were here. And I took a fit because I was thinking you were coming tomorrow, and I had washed my hair.
Yeah.
I was sitting under the dryer,
Yeah.
and you very nicely gave me an hour, and I made it.
But we sat around and had another cup of coffee, and then we finally found her up one hill, down another, and so anyway, we're going to talk a while here with Lula Belle, and I know there's many of you out there who have been waiting for this. Lula Belle, let's go back to your early life, back when you were a kid. That long? Back to your early life. Could you tell us, how many brothers and sisters did you have?
I just have one brother. I had a baby sister that died in infancy, but I have one brother.
One brother.
Pete.
Pete. And your name at that time was Cooper, right?
Yes.
And your dad?
My name was Myrtle Eleanor
Cooper. And we'll get into a name change later on.
Okay.
But your dad, what did your dad do?
Daddy was quite a pistol. He was a jack of all trades. He could build a house for you. He could fix your car. He could anything you needed. And we traveled a lot because we'd go into a town and stay a while, and Daddy'd get tired of it and want to go someplace else to work for a while. And so, Mom, I always felt so bad. Not at the time, but now in later years, that Mom had to go off and leave so many, like pictures of the family pictures on the wall.
Right.
I remember her we'd had no room to carry her. And I don't know why Daddy was jumping up and going someplace all the time, but I just took it for granted and never questioned it.
You thought everybody did this,
I
right?
guess.
So, and you moved around quite a bit, but
Yeah.
you finally went up to Evanston, Illinois, and up there you were listening to a radio station that came out very strong, WLS.
Well, let me tell you about how
Okay.
I got to Chicago.
Okay,
I'll make it
We'll
short.
back up.
Okay, just
Okay.
a little bit. In 1920, we were living in Florida at that
Right,
time. We'd
okay.
gotten down to Florida. And in 1926, they had a terrible hurricane there, blew our home away, and water was waist high for weeks afterwards. And so Daddy decided we better get out of there. And my mother had a sister that lived in Evanston, Illinois, which is a suburb somewhat of Chicago. So we started out, and I'll tell you what all we took.
Okay.
You thought we were a bunch of gypsies, I'm telling you. We were cat lovers. At that time, we had 7 cats. So Daddy built a box for them, and we had a Chandler Roadster with a rumble seat in it. And back of that rumble seat, Daddy tied this box, open box, with wire on it, screen wire, so they could breathe. And they were tied on the back end. My brother and I rode in the rumble seat. Daddy had put a little canvas curtain over the rumble seat so we wouldn't be burnt to death with sun. And we had a dog. We had the 7 cats and a dog and a little Anconia hen who rode on the running board in a box and laid an egg every day, and a white rat that was in the pocket of the car. And there we went. We headed for Chicago.
North. You went north.
Yeah, but about every 100 miles we'd have a flat tire, and Daddy'd have to get out and get a new second-hand tire to put on. We were poor as Job's turkey, really, at that time, and it was the Big Depression in the 20s.
Sure.
And it took us over a year to get there. Time he worked, the car would break down, and we'd stop, and Daddy'd get a job and work for a while to get us on a little further. We finally got there, and we got a radio. That was the first. My brother had one of these earphone kind. What was it?
Not transistor.
What did they call
Crystal.
it? Crystal set.
Okay.
So we heard WLS on that one at a time.
Okay.
We'd take turns.
What was it like, WLS, at that time?
Well, Bradley Kincaid was there, and he was very popular. And Linda Parker and the Cumberland Ridge Runners were there. Archie, the Arkansas woodchopper. You remember old Archie?
He was a Missourian.
Yeah.
Yes.
He passed away here a few years ago. And we just loved it. We loved the way... And John Lair was sort of manager of the Ridge Runners, and did you ever hear his voice? Did you ever hear
I never did.
He had an outstanding masculine Southern gentleman accent.
Now, you're talking about the year about
That would
what
have
year?
been 29.
29. No, I don't remember
30.
that.
Oh, I'm sorry.
You're taking me a little bit far. I should, but I don't. Okay.
Well, anyway, John, okay, you asked me what? Yeah,
Yes.
we listened to that.
WLS.
Yeah,
Mhm.
and they had Hallow Hallow and a big announcer, Jack Holden. Joe
Yes, I
Kelly
remember
came
Jack
later.
Holden.
Yeah.
Joe Kelly, we were talking earlier about Joe Kelly and his introduction on the program. Hello, hello, everybody.
Yeah.
How's Mom, Dad, and all the kids, right?
Yeah, on the Alka-Seltzer, the
That was
network
on-
show.
Right.
Mhm.
Okay.
And so I had a boyfriend that I was sneaking around to see a little bit. Mama didn't want me to go. He was a little bit too old, they thought. Well, he was. I was about 14 or 15, I guess. And he was, but that's neither here nor there. But he gave me a guitar.
Well, the boyfriend did.
Yeah, and a $3 job. and Daddy could play guitar a little bit. And he also sawed on the fiddle, and so I learned a few songs. One of them was The Gambler's Warning. That was one of the first country songs of that type that I learned. And Daddy thought I was pretty good, and so that I could get a job now and then for the Chamber of Commerce or something in a school auditorium for $5, and that was big money in 1929 or 30.
Yes, that was Depression time.
It sure was. And that went on. We lived there till, along in 1932. By that time we had gotten a radio that we could all listen to at the same time.
Right, okay.
And a battery set, but it was a good one. And Daddy thought I was pretty good. I could sing 2 or 3 songs, so he decided he was going to take me down to WLS. And we did. I went with him, and as I say, I was used to singing. I wasn't used to singing on a microphone. So I liked to blasting them out of there. I started singing Left My Gal in the Mountains, I think.
Sure, yeah.
Just blasting it out, and I saw him start cringing in there.
Now, this was in the studio
This
at
was
WLS.
in the studio. I'm going to ask Daddy finally got the audition for me.
Okay.
And they all looked so odd, and they never did tell me that they were not going to give me a job. And Daddy was in there, in the control room. That's what. And he came out later on the way home. He told me that they said that I should go home and tone down for a couple of weeks because I was singing so loudly. I was accustomed to projecting my voice, to be heard in the back of the house. I don't know how I learned to do it, but somehow I had. And so about a week after, I know, before that, They finally decided the second time that Daddy took me down there.
Oh, they didn't accept you the first time?
But
okay.
Daddy told me to go home and tone down for a couple of days. That he had told them to do that, but they didn't. But he took me back anyway.
Okay.
Toned down a little.
Okay.
And they finally decided in there that I had something. They said they couldn't figure out what it was.
But you had something.
But I had
What
something.
did you sing the second time?
I think The Gambler's Warning.
Okay.
think
you were
that's
toned
what it
down
was.
that time?
Yeah, I toned it down a little bit.
Okay, now that was your first job.
Well, they decided they would give me a job on the Smile a While program, which came on at 5:30 in the morning and ran till 6:30, I believe.
Did you have to learn new songs to be on that?
Well, yeah, and you know, I can't remember. I know Mom taught me, I sang all songs that she knew. But I can't remember how, somehow or another, later on, when I'd come home, she'd have a new song for me to learn on a Saturday morning. We'd come home, on Friday night, and I'd learn it and go down there and sing it on the barn dance that night.
Well, but you were not on the barn dance, right?
Oh, I wasn't
first.
there yet.
Okay.
No, I'm getting ahead of myself.
So you left this program and...
Well, what happened was I worked Smile a While program 3 mornings a week.
Okay.
And after I had done that for a couple of weeks, George Bigger, who was the program director then, had me, they put me on the barn dance.
Okay.
And they introduced me as a Red's old girlfriend, and that I lived down in Kentucky, and that I had heard him on the radio, and I had rode the bus and come to Chicago because I wanted to be on the radio too. Yeah, Red Foley, because they introduced me as his girlfriend, old girlfriend.
Old girlfriend.
Yeah. So John Lair, I told you about John Lair. He was the manager, and they put me in charge of John as to be my manager. And he told me he had the idea for how I should dress and the character, and gave me the name Lula Belle.
He just came out with that. You're going to be Lula Belle.
Yeah.
Did you like that?
I didn't care.
You really didn't care?
I liked it better than Myrtle.
It stayed with you, didn't it?
You know, I'm going to jump here just a second and tell you when I was running for office. We'll talk about it later.
Yeah, okay.
But I had to have that name Myrtle, Lula Belle, in parentheses,
official
Wiseman. I had to use my legal name on billboards.
Right.
Gosh sakes, I'd sneak around trying not to see him. Myrtle Lula Belle Wiseman.
So that's when you got it in 1932.
Yeah.
You became Lula Belle.
Yeah, so I'll go back to what else you were asking me.
Yes,
I forgot.
We were talking about your act on the barn dance.
Oh, yeah. The first song, I can't remember the first one that I sang on the barn dance. It could have been The Butcher Boy, because Mom taught me what songs I knew at that point, and I think it was Butcher Boy, and they let me do one song on each show. And it didn't go over a whole lot. It wasn't good. It was terrible, I think. I don't know. And
when did you realize that the audience were liking you? That they really enjoyed you? Not the first night, perhaps, but
they didn't know what they were.
They didn't know what they were getting there. This kid was up there singing loud.
Yeah, I was 17.
Right.
Yeah.
But did you then begin to see the reaction from the audience, the response that they began to like you?
Oh yeah, I could tell.
Did you learn what to do so they would like you more?
Well, I learned. Yes, I did. Okay. Of course, nobody else liked me, but the audience did. The acts, the other acts didn't, because. Well, let's see. Mom made me a dress. First, I'll have to tell you how I was dressed. That she called it Mother Hubbard style. It was long and it had this gathered skirt and a pigtail that we got at the dime store that matched my hair, and we attached it to the back of my hair and let it come over my shoulder, then put a big red bow back in the back. And then high-top shoes. We went down to Maxwell Street in Chicago and got these peaked-toed kind, and I have a B-width foot. And you can imagine, it looked like a AAA. And I wore those. They looked cute, but that's where I just couldn't walk with them. And, my feet would kill me. And so I had this hope chest that Mom fixed up for me, that I carried all kinds of goodies in. Chewing gum and candy and grapes and bananas, and I had it locked up. And, well, I'm getting ahead of myself a little bit. That was how I was dressed, and that was how I was introduced
Now,
on the
these
barn
are the
dance.
very early days.
These were the first 2 or
National
3
Barn
times
Dance.
that I was
Right.
on. Yeah.
Right. Okay.
And I did something one night, and Hal O'Halloran, who was the announcer on the barn dance then, he got real hateful with me about it on the air. And I went off the stage and cried, and when I got home that night, Mom said, "Don't ever let him talk to you like that again. You give him back as good as he gives you, or better." So I started, like I told you, I became a regular smart aleck.
Nobody liked you.
Nobody liked you. You better believe it. Because I'd take that hope chest. Oh, I wore that thing around my neck, with the key around my neck, and I'd take that, and one of the Saudi Holmes or somebody would go and break the key off and grab my hope chest and run out through the audience. And the audience loved it, but the poor kids that were on there trying to bury me beneath the willow or something like
People
that.
laughing.
Yeah, everybody loved it. And we'd go up in the balcony and,
Sure.
oh, gosh. Wonder somebody didn't murder
And
me.
about this time, I wanted to ask you about another, not similar, but something that I remember that